What up, guys? In this video, we're gonna talk about pricing. We might talk about phone calls a little bit too, but we're gonna start with pricing because this is the most common question I get, guys, is how do you price? And it is very hard in the beginning because you just don't know what the fudge you're doing, and you're gonna undercharge, you're gonna overcharge. This is the most difficult part, and you're only gonna get good at it with experience. You're gonna have to mess up the first like 5 to 10 jobs, but after that, you're gonna get better at it. But what I wanna help you guys do is try to price as well as you can from the beginning. So let's get started. First things first, guys, you do need to get your pricing sheet in order before you actually start pricing. What you want to do is you're going to have your pricing sheet, you're going to have your proof of insurance, your general liability. Usually what I do is I have a clipboard that's with this, and I'll get out with the clipboard with the pricing sheet. And that sets you apart from everybody else because it doesn't look like you're pulling a number out of your ass. You have something to follow, kind of like a menu, so you're consistent all the time. The customer knows that they're gonna be charged the same time every time, and you're not gonna pull a number out of your ass. This is my proof of general liability. I'm gonna pretend it's the pricing sheet. I don't have the pricing sheet. If you want to learn how to do a pricing sheet, check this video here. So I have another video on a pricing sheet, my pricing sheet, and you can just download it, edit it, whatever. But the first things first is you need to do market research on pricing and come up with your pricing sheet, print it out, laminate it. What I strongly recommend you do to make sure you have plenty of copies of your pricing sheet, buy a laminator off Amazon. It's 15, 20 bucks, and you can make unlimited copies. Whenever you lose one, just make another one, laminate anything you want so it looks professional. The binder is gonna hold all your receipts, proof of insurance, your pricing sheet, but you want a clipboard. What I normally do is we get out of the truck, the binder would stay in the truck. So I'd get out of the truck with the clipboard and the pricing sheet. And then we would get to the customer's house and we would walk around and look at everything. Now, we'll use this pile right here. Okay. We're gonna pretend that this is the pile that we're looking at. I have my clipboard with my pricing sheet, and I'm gonna go like this. Okay. All right, miss, is this everything? Is this everything that you want to get rid of? Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay, that's it. All right. So what I would do is I'd look at my partner with me or whatever. You look at everything. You have your pricing sheet and your clipboard, and this is where you'd come up to the customer, and you should have a minimum, an eighth, a sixth, 3/8, quarter. I don't remember all of them, but it goes all the way, to half, 7/8, and then a full load. So you'll have all these prices. Now, you need to be confident in your delivery. Try not to be unsure, and you're not gonna have confidence until you actually get good at this. But even with your first couple jobs, just try to guess. Look at this pile. It's really this simple, guys. We're gonna talk about heavyweight, we're gonna talk about tires, we're gonna talk about appliances, but in general, for the most part, you're gonna charge by volume, and you're gonna tack on extra fees. We'll get into that later. But for now, we're gonna start simple. This pile right here, okay, and this comes with experience. How much space do we think it's gonna use in the truck? It's literally that simple, guys, but it takes practice. Normally, I would have already told the customer, I would have said, you're probably in that case, that's an eighth. I would have told the customer, you're looking at 1/8, we're gonna try to pack it as tight as we can, but I'm thinking you're probably gonna be around 1/8. 1/8 price is $295. And then you go, could be less, I don't know, but I'm thinking you're around an eighth. Usually, they'll just say yes or no. Sometimes they wanna see the truck, sometimes they wanna see how much space you use up after. For the most part, they'll just say, okay, yeah, get started. Now, guys, it's this easy to load. When you're dealing with furniture, appliances, stuff like that, you're gonna stack this way, horizontally. So if you look at the side of the truck, if we're stacking furniture and appliances, we're gonna be going horizontally. So it's very simple, guys. Just chop it in eighths. This is something you're gonna get good at. And then obviously, this is a half load. That's how easy it is. Don't make it complicated. But knowing how to look at a pile and be accurate of how much space it's gonna take, that does take a little experience. This is probably, oh, no, okay, see, I'm wrong. That's gonna be a 6. So a 6, 1/6 is like right here, and that's if we stack it good. That pile, because it's probably gonna just fall over, so we would just throw it in, try to pack it against as neatly, and you would just kind of take a look at it and be like, yeah, that's about a 6. One trick that I used to use mentally is I look at the load. If I say it's 1/6, and it finally gets in the truck, the secret for me that helped me a lot was, can I do this job 5 more times? If you just filled up 1/6 of your truck, theoretically that means you should be able to do that same job 5 more times, and then you would have a full load. If you do a half load, same fucking thing. You could do that job 2 times in this look. So that was how I used to tell myself, okay, so if this is an 1/8, would I be able to do the same job 7 more times? And that's how I got mentally, I would like say if it could fit or not. That's the secret that I used. It really just comes down to practice. So anyways, furniture, appliances, all that shit, you're gonna come stacking out this way horizontally. But when you get debris, yard debris, you're gonna be stacking vertically. Roof shingles, concrete, just shit, stuff. You'll be stacking this way. So you just gotta tell the customer, like if you throw shit in and you come up to here, that's an 1/8. This is a 1/2. You just need to get good at like guessing how much it's gonna take up of your truck. The customers 99% of the time will just take your word for it. Now that doesn't mean screw your customer over. Don't ever fucking do that. Don't lie. But usually they won't come even look. They'll just trust you. You'll load it up and you'll be off on your way. Now that doesn't mean scam your customers and lie. Charge them appropriately. Even for the customers that feel unwary about it, you can be like, hey sir, it was gonna be a 1/2 load, but guess what? It actually was only a 1/6. And they're gonna be so thankful. The hardest part is making your pricing sheet, but I have that video. Go watch that video. Get your prices right. In that video, I teach you how to do it. It's very simple, guys, to get your prices right. Do some market research, call the companies, copy their pricing. Don't overcomplicate things. We'll transition into some tips. We're gonna do some tips now, guys. I'm gonna give you guys some tips. One tip is this. This is a 12 by 7.75, almost 8 feet by 4 feet tall. I think it comes out to somewhere between 13 and 15 cubic yards. I don't remember the exact amount of cubic yards. 1-800-GOT-JUNK dump trucks are 10 feet long. So mine's 12 by 8 feet wide, so about the same, but 5 feet tall. So most junk removal company trucks are gonna be your standard 10 by 8s. 10 by 8s by 4s, 12 by 8s by 4s, 12 by 7 by, in that general measurements of the dump body. Meaning, try to avoid getting bigger trucks. I can compete on the phone and price about the same with a 10, 12, or even a 14-foot truck. The problem, what happens is, the reason why I mentioned this is some guys come to me saying, hey Andrew, I can get a 16-foot box truck, an 18-foot, a 22-foot box truck. If you get too big of a truck, you have to charge more. Because if you get a giant box truck that's 14 feet long, 8 feet tall, you're gonna be double the cubic yards than 1-800-GOT-JUNK, me, Junk King, any of the other guys, meaning you have to charge way more for a full load. So if my full load is 1,000 and you get a giant box truck, in order for you to be charging the same price per cubic yard, you would have to charge $2 grand. The problem with that, as you can see, is when you talk over the phone, even if you try to explain to a customer on the phone, my box truck is double the size of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, my full load price is $2 grand. What do you think is gonna happen? The customer doesn't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't know the measurements of everybody's trucks. All they heard was $2,000 full load price. So unless you got a box truck for free or something, or it was the best deal that you can get was that giant box truck, try to avoid going too big. You wanna stay nice and tight, okay? Nice and tight, guys. Always nice and tight. You know, normal size. Follow what all the other residential junk haulers are doing, because it's gonna help you in the long run, so you don't have to charge too high of a price because you have a bigger box truck. You wanna stay in the same range so that you're competitive, because I promise you people are just gonna hear $2,000 for full load price and call the next company, even though you just told them that your box truck is double the size and you can fit more. They don't care. When it comes to extra fees and upsells, you can call it overage fees, you need to be very upfront with the customer, and this is something you never want to discuss on the phone. I don't ever mention overage fees unless absolutely necessary, where on the phone it's very obvious. If they're like, I have a bunch of dirt, I'll say, you know, I definitely need to see it in person because dirt's heavier, you know, it's going to cost a little bit more. Or if they mention something like, hey, I got 15 flights of stairs, there's no elevator, you know, I'll tell them up front, there's going to be some extra charges for that, of course, but we need to see it in person. So when you close the sale on the phone, hey, we need to see it in person. Try to never give prices over the phone ever, just maybe the starting price, and then it goes up from there. We need to see it in person. We come out for free, and then you show up, and then that's when you do the pitch. That's when you do the sell. You're gonna have your overage fees. Here's mine right here on my pricing sheet. I can't see it right now because I don't have my actual pricing sheet, but there's an extra weight charge, there's stairs charge, extra labor charge, unsanitary charge, all kinds of different charges, right guys? Long distance plus elevator, meaning if, you know, a giant apartment building and you're walking down tons of hallways and you're going down a slow ass elevator, it happens all the time in LA. I charge extra. And here's the thing with extra fees, guys, is we'll go back to this pile as an example. So when you're looking at the pile, there's some hidden tires here. Okay, like that. Maybe the customer never told you about the tires. When it comes to overage fees, for example, I need to make an updated pricing sheet and I need to put extra fees for tires because the dumps are not letting me dump tires for free. So you'd have tires and you put a per tire charge of $20 per tire. And this happens a lot, guys, where customers don't tell you what kind of stuff is underneath the pile. Sometimes they'll hide concrete, sometimes they'll hide dirt, sometimes they'll hide tons of paint cans. Paint can charge for sure. I definitely charge for paint cans or extra hazardous waste. Be careful with hazardous waste, guys, because technically, I think in the state of California, and you can get fined pretty big, you're not supposed to transport more than 15 gallons of hazardous waste. You can get fined if you're pulled over by the CHP, whatever highway patrol in your state. So be careful. Figure out how much you're allowed to legally transport in your state, follow those laws. But as you saw in my overages, that's what I charge. Now, why I'm talking about overages is you need to be upfront with them and to show them, okay, as you can see, we get charged extra for the tires. We have to charge you $20 per tire. Let's say they had a whole bunch of construction debris, concrete. So for normal junk, it's fine. You know, we charge by volume, but when it comes to concrete, construction debris and dirt, that stuff's obnoxiously heavy and we get penalized at the dump for it. So we have to charge it. It's not anything crazy. It's just 50 bucks extra per ton, per quarter. What I'm getting at, guys, is you upsell up front and let them know so you don't come off like you're shocking them at the end. Always be upfront with the fees. If there's an insane long distance, which happens all the time, guys, in LA, look at that. Imagine we had to walk that far. It happens all the time in LA where you can't park close to the apartment building. You gotta park like 2 blocks away, and then we're fucking going insane long distance. That's why I have a long distance charge. Okay, we charge $50 per extra 100 feet of unnecessary long distance. And you just say, hey, I mean, look, we can't park anywhere close. This is not, normally we pull right up to the house, we load the junk, but this is gonna take us double the time. So we charge 50 bucks per 100 foot. So it's gonna be another 100, 200 bucks. And then you also have 5 flights of stairs. Not every customer has this many overages. I'm just gonna giving you examples how I do it. You have 2 flights of stairs, we charge 25 bucks a flight. I'll just charge you for 1. And this is where you start negotiating, right? So now you have the 1/6 price of, I don't know what my price, I forget, 300 bucks. And you've just stacked up, let's say 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 bucks in tires, 50 bucks in heavy weight. You start stacking all this up. They're either A, completely understandable, right? They understand, whatever. Or B, they start freaking out, or not freaking out, but they're like, what, all these extra fees? You can tell they're not cool with the price. That's where I start taking things off like I'm doing them a favor. You do want to get the extra fees if you can. Absolutely, for the tires, you're gonna be charged at the dump. I get charged like 10 bucks a tire, I charge 20, right? So I make a little extra money. I get charged for extra weight, try to get the extra weight. The stuff you can start docking is like stairs. You can start docking the long distance. So upsell in person, upfront, and use your upsells as negotiation to try to get a higher price, but bring it down like you're doing them a favor. Okay, guys? And then another thing is I also don't charge taxes. Some people do. I don't think you're supposed to charge taxes on services, but I think even the big guys got junk do. But if you include taxes in your price and you can use that as an upsell or as a tactic, like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna charge you the sales tax of 9.5%, 10%, 7%, wherever you live. That saves you 7%. And that is how I deal with upselling. Just be very upfront, kind of go over everything with them, show them the pricing sheet so they don't think you're pulling shit out of your ass. That's the beautiful thing about the pricing sheet, is it doesn't seem like you're lying and just pulling a random number out of your ass. You have a menu, it's consistent. If they hire you again, they know it's gonna be the same over and over. All right, guys, let's talk extra labor and how much time is included in a load, because you guys need to be careful with this too. This is something else that can really eat you up, and you're not gonna learn this until you experience it. Let's talk about included time when loading up stuff by volume. We're gonna start with quarter loads. Now, the reason why I go by quarter load is every quarter load, so here's 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, full load. I think this is what all the big guys do too. This is where I took it from. It works great. Every quarter load includes 30 minutes of free labor. So a half load would be an hour. 3/4 would be 1.5 hours. So every quarter load is 30 minutes. So 30 minutes of included labor with 2 men, which comes out to technically 1 hour of man labor at a quarter. And then at a half load, they get an hour included, an hour and a half, and a full load includes 2 hours of free labor. Now, here's why I say free labor, because this is what's gonna fuck you up, and especially if you have employees, because this is gonna burn into your pockets hard. And you're gonna make this mistake. I'm gonna try to help you avoid it, but this is gonna happen to you. You're gonna get to a job, and you're gonna say, oh yeah, this is a full load. Okay, cool, you're happy, you're dancing, you got a full load. You just made $1,000. Now, here's what happens. Some full loads I get done in an hour, some 2 hours, but you're gonna come across a full load someday that's gonna take you 8 hours. Yeah, you made a full load, but you also just spent 8 fucking hours, right? So after dump fees and after gas and after 2 guys working for 8 hours, you just massively dipped into the profits of that full load. And this is something you're gonna get with experience, because you're not gonna realize how some people have yard debris, it's scattered everywhere. And then you have to start going through cabinets, and then shit just happens, and it takes a long time. So that's why you charge extra labor. So when you look at a job, you need to let them know when you have a full load, be like, hey, this looks like a really hard job. A full load includes 2 hours of free labor. You know, that's 4 man hours because 2 of you are working. If we can't do this within 2 hours, you want to let them know up front and show them your extra labor rate. Now, this is where things you can also start negotiating too. You don't always have to charge the extra labor, but when you start getting deep into how many hours it takes, you can lose money. So I used to charge $50 an hour per person, $100 an hour outside of the 2 hours. If we rack in another hour, 3 hours to load up a full load, they're getting charged another $100. If it takes 4 hours, so they're getting charged $200. But recently, because of how expensive workers' compensation is, payroll taxes, just running the business, I now charge $75 an hour per person. So that's $150 an hour of extra labor. Do I negotiate sometimes and drop it back down to 50? Absolutely. But have your base rates, overages on your pricing sheet so they don't think you're lying. And then you can start negotiating, and they'll think they're getting a deal because they see it here, and you're telling, oh, you know what, I'm not gonna charge you the extra labor. You're just going over 1 hour. But if you go into like 8 hours on a full load, 7 hours, you need to tack on a little extra labor because you're gonna burn into your profits. So very important, guys, is when you get good at looking at piles, you're gonna get good at pricing, right? And knowing how much space it takes up. That comes with experience. But the second thing is, how long is it gonna take you? Because once you start loading things up, some jobs are gonna take you fucking forever. You need to price accordingly with extra labor so you guys don't lose money. I hope that helps a lot. Anyways, toodles.
Just another sunny